the city has spent a lot of time and money taking down all these ash trees around town. Now, as I understand it, the city will take down dead or dying trees on the parking. Okay, 2 years ago, last fall, the code enforcement officer went through my neighborhood and said these trees had to be trimmed, blah, 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 blah. Okay, my sister pointed out at that time that the tree was dying. I have a big maple, 2 big maples in front of my house, that the south one was dying. The street department head came down and he told me over the phone that it had been approved to be removed. I went to City Hall and I filled out the necessary paperwork for it, where you authorize, you absolve them of liability or whatever it is if they do any damage taking it down. I called him the following spring and asked him, if I may verify that I was on the list at that time. That tree is still standing there. It's dead in the center. It's dead on the east side. It's not an ash tree, so we're ignoring it. Now, I think this will be going on 2.5 years. This will be 2.5 years this spring. I don't know if this is some minor goof up on, about my property, or whether this is something that is happening to anyone in Lamar's, that older resident that needs the city to take a parking tree down. So that's something I would kind of like the council to look into. What's on the list? Are there trees on the list? And if they're non-ash trees, are they being ignored?
Okay.
And this is more a work-related issue on my part. I work at down at the subway by Bob's. We have not been able to get vans to get our garbage for the past 2 weeks. Our dumpster is overflowing. Our cardboard thing is overflowing. I think PJ has called them. They still haven't come. I know that there's a labor problem, but it's like, is this something they're using excuses, well, there's cars in the lot. They used to pick it up before 8 o'clock in the morning, so the car issue was not a problem. I don't know whether they're trying to pick it up later in the day and there is a car problem, or just what's going on with it. But I'm kind of wondering if there are other businesses around Lamar's that they're pulling the same stunt on, that they're not picking it up.
It's the first I've heard of it. I don't know of any other.
Well, that was part of the reason I brought it up, is that.
Well, there was, over Christmas.
Yeah, between Christmas and New Year's, they had a truck down.
This is a different.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I said, it really looks bad down there, and
Sure.
that's where people are coming into Lamar's.
Sure. Okay.
So that's something else I've kind of maybe have your code person keep an eye on them a little bit, maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't expect you to actually do anything about it, so much as, that you should be aware that there may be a problem with the hauler.
Yeah,
I know I've never had a problem with it.
we have a contract with them. I believe
Yeah.
it doesn't come up until 2 years.
Not for commercial.
Not for commercial? Oh, can they choose anyone for commercial? Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with it. We had the Galen picnic 6 weeks. We had all kinds of stuff going out and we had no place to put it.
For commercial, there is OC Sanitation as well as Brommer Sanitation will come to Lamar's now.
I don't know
So-
that's PJ's thing. I don't know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, is this a problem with equipment and personnel overall, not just our particular situation?
Sure. Okay. Can I ask you one thing, Carol?
Yeah.
Have you followed up on that tree since?
I
or-
kind of gave up on it last summer. I had thought about this last fall, I was going to write a letter since it was 2 years, I was going to write a letter to the code enforcement guy and ask him to verify it, because the branch that they were complaining about is still out over the street.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
We'll have them check it and review it.
And
see
kind
if
of what reminded me of it again is that I went by Van Hollen and they had all those trees marked to be taken down, but those are ash trees.
What was the address again?
109 4th Avenue Northwest.
All right.
And thank you.
We'll look at it.
And one thing on that tree too, this flood last spring.
I know. See, that was part of the reason I didn't really follow up on it. That was part of the reason I didn't really follow up on it. I knew that they had all those flood issues, and I knew that they had, that they were trying to do all these ash trees.
Right.
but it's like you can take down hundreds of other trees, but you can't take down, that are healthy, but you can't take down a tree that could potentially break off and land on the neighbor's pickup.
Sure. We'll have them look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My only complaint is the Lamar's mayor eats eagles, but really I was just moving
Sorry,
Need to introduce you to the last mayor.
Anyone else? Yeah, there we go.
Dan Doman, I live at 1520 3rd Avenue Southeast. I was just wondering, as far as the council could give an update, I think there was some things going through about the potential upgrades to water treatment here in Lamar's. I just know that our home has a reverse osmosis system, as I know a lot of people that we know also have. Having recently gone through and used stuff that wasn't run through that, I was really surprised at the lack of water quality of stuff that did run through that. And so I was just wondering, as far as where we stood and where the timeline was on that, and if you could just give an update.
Sure. I can. Clark, do you want to speak on an update since that's your committee?
The update is, it's out for design right now, or have we awarded that one, Jason?
Not the RO.
Not the
Water's
RO.
all done and bid, and
The water's done and bid, and the water improvements are bid, but not the RO system. But I want to understand your comment before I comment.
Okay.
Because what we're doing is we're trying to reduce the hardness in the water.
And I think that's a great step.
The reason is because we have, these are total layman's terms, we have salt issues at the wastewater plant. This is DNR and EPA forcing us to do something about now we have salt issues at the wastewater plant because of the heavy softeners and the hardness of the water. So the RO is projected to drop Lamar's water from about 32 to 35 grains of hardness to 7 to 12. Now, when you start talking about RO, me and my house will not go without an RO no matter what we do to the water. I'm gonna still need that RO. But the goal is that everybody here reduces their salt consumption in their softeners so that your RO and everything else can function much more efficiently while using a whole lot less salt. Thus, our wastewater gets a lot less salt. Does that make sense? I know it seems like a go in a circle, but the bottom line is we have to cure the water to fix the wastewater.
Yes.
And these are new DNR guidelines that were set forth that we no longer meet their guidelines. So
Okay.
that's why.
all
we
right,
had
so
to-
what was your question, when's it gonna be done?
Well, I was looking for an update and it was a good explanation as kind of what we're doing. But yeah, I was kind of looking for a timeline and where different things stood on that process.
It should be completed
26.
January of 27.
Yeah.
27? Okay.
Into 26, I believe, but 27.
Now, for clarity on your statement that you will not go without an RO in the home, I've lived in other communities where the tap water was perfect without that. We still ran a water softener for, for showers and things like that.
Sure.
But shouldn't the goal be to get the water good enough to not need an RO system in every home?
You need to understand that when you are dealing with a water system, a municipal water system, you could purify it down to zero to where you and I could drink it just happy-go-lucky. The problem is the distribution system. So you have a plant, and then you have all the pipes. And then you have the pipes running from our pipes to your house. And during that process in distribution, it picks up dirt. It picks up hardness again. So there's only so much a municipality can do. So when I say I won't do without mine, it's because I'm very picky about how my coffee tastes and my ice cubes look.
Yeah.
So that's just a personal thing. If you determine it to be good enough for you, no problem.
Yeah,
And I
and,
don't want to water my lawn with perfectly pure, soft water either, so.
no, and I, like I said, I think what we're doing is a step in the right direction, so I'm just wanting to understand that comment. And my biggest thing was just the, you know, and I agree that we don't need to have RO completely treated stuff to water lawns and stuff like that. It was just, all right, taking a drink of water that I brush my teeth with, and I'm like, wow, that's not good. Right, and versus just the stuff that has run through the RO. And so that was just kind of concerning. I was like, okay, well, you know, little kids will drink faucet water, you know, all the time and stuff. So just wanting to understand that, so
But
thank
they
you.
also drink swimming pool water.
Yes, and straight out of the hose. They're never gonna, hose water's the best when you're 7 years old.
I appreciate your question, because seriously, as crazy as the explanation to our improvements at the water are to cure our demands from the DNR at our wastewater. And so that it comes full circle.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
And once that's done, then we're going to have to educate the public to either have it as needed or to adjust how often it cycles in their software. And we'll adjust that then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be a good educational piece, because I went online trying to adjust mine, you know, a few months ago, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that very well, and none of the online informational stuff was good either, so.
You bet.
Yeah, it's kind of good news, bad news here. We have, you know, we have super deep wells that pull water from the Dakota Aquifer, which is a seemingly endless supply of water, but it comes out really hard. So, I mean, there's good news in that, unlike other communities, you won't see us having the water bans that other communities have because of our source of water.
Right.
It's just the quality isn't as soft as others. So.
All right, thank
And
you.
I do want to give a shout out to Rich and the entire
Yeah,
crew there
yeah.
that treats our water, because they do a great job.
Yeah.
So.
Anyone else?
I'll hear some more good things if anybody's got it.
Oh, there we got a couple. Or they're leaving.
No.
Time for a cocktail.
Never get tired of hearing good things.
My name is Pat Warner. I live at 629 Northland Drive. I've been there about 43 years. I am wondering, down the road in development, if there is anybody that would like to build some senior living for independent people. There's a lot of widows and widowers in this town. If when I sell my house, I'm not ready yet, but when I sell my house, I would like to just move in where I don't have to worry about paying my taxes. I don't worry about if the dishwasher goes out. I want to be able to say I'll pay the rent. And right now, you know, there isn't anything that I really see right now in that.
That's an area that's being worked on.
Yeah, it is in our community development plan and some areas we have designed for that. We do not have a targeted developer yet, but it is absolutely in the works.
I think it would be a wonderful project, and I think that building would be filled just like that. Because I have talked to a lot of people that want to move now. So.
Yeah, that's
Well,
a very
you know,
tough.
In a lot of our developments, there are areas set aside for 55 plus, because we totally recognize that need. We also recognize the need for more assisted living.
Yeah.
It's very much on our radar, but that doesn't happen overnight.
Even
Yeah,
a,
no,
even
I
a
understand
facility
that,
where you
so.
could progress from your needs, you know, and stay in the same general area or facility would be incredible. But finding those is the next challenge. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So we'd have a lot of houses for sale if we could find senior living.
Big altar.
Richard Halter, 400 2nd Avenue Northwest, Lamar's. I would like to get some information on this Centennial Hall. There was a big article in the paper last week. What are they planning on doing with it? Tearing it
The
down?
plan is to tear it down, yeah.
Okay. For what? To make a parking lot or new
Yeah,
structure?
we don't have a designed use yet for that space, but the building itself isn't worth
It's really not that old of a building.
yeah, it's, what, from the 60s?
70s.
70s, yeah.
I thought that was in
It's
the
very difficult to convert into anything else because the rooms are so small and they're concrete
Right.
walls and,
Well, I
yeah.
guess they bought it in '96. I don't know what they paid for it. Never seen any figures. They sold it in 2012. I don't know what they sold it for. Then they bought it back again in 2023. They did an asbestos study in 2012 for $23,000. At that time, they said it was estimated $283,000 just to remove the asbestos. Well, what would that cost in this stage money? And then how much demolition on top of that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have, like, if it's a parking lot, it's gonna be a dang expensive parking lot.
Yeah,
I mean, it has to be done, but it seems like they bought back a headache, is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that thing was built in the early 70s.
Okay.
And I myself, in real estate, have showed multiple parties about converting it into an apartment building, and it's become extremely unfeasible. Just the logistics of running sewers throughout the building and then fire codes.
Well, it
that are-
was a dormitory at one time, so it had to have existing stuff.
It
But
has
not necessarily
rooms, it has
every
rooms,
room.
but it had
Community
central
bathroom.
showers. It had central showers. So, yeah, right now, literally, probably gonna get an update at the next council meeting, because we asked for estimates on the asbestos removal, because, the last owners, there was a study done, and it was provided to us by Lance and Patty, that, we're not 100% sure what has to be taken to, to be approved with DNR, because when you can't do anything without asbestos, without, satisfying the regulations. So we are looking into what it will cost us to pull it down, because quite frankly, to answer the question you're halfway asking is, there is no use for that building. There is no use for that building. If you have one,
So why did the city buy it back in 2023?
because we want it gone.
To get rid of it?
Without-
Because it's
Because we
an
want it
Get rid of a
gone.
headache.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a lot of expense for us.
It's gonna be a
Get rid of
huge
it.
expense.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how it could ever be justified, but that was my
It,
question.
it can't, but we don't want it there. Gathering bats, rats, and
Right.
everything else.
That's the downside of it is if you don't do anything with it, that's what it becomes. Because there's.
I would just like to hear some numbers on what we've spent on that thing and what it's gonna cost.
Yeah, and like,
Is it gonna
as Clark said, I think at the next council meeting, Jason, I think you
Yeah, we-
will have some numbers.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
And I know our
Thank you.
friends
Thanks,
with,
ladies.
and I know our friends with the Sentinel and KLM will be on top of those meetings.
A gift of the Westmar property.
Dixie, Duda.
Turn that mic off.
Oh, yeah, probably should.
Hello.
Hello, guys. You've seen me before.
Can you state
Dixie
your name and
Quaker.
address? for the-
Dixie Quaker, 450 19th Street Southeast. I have a couple of things I want to address, and this gentleman just brought up one of them. I guess I'm becoming one of the historians of Westmar, and so therefore I have it in my brain pretty much. I've been around a long time. I graduated from Westmar. Okay, Centennial Hall was opened in 1969. It was named because it was the centennial year of the college. That's why the name. My husband, being a contractor and being in that business all our lives, watched that building be built. We had just come back from California. Those are boxes, as you probably have seen, some of you. They are pods that are stacked. So you've got a ceiling and then you've got a floor, or the other way around. So you've got two layers of concrete to get through. Yes, we've done demolition. I can name you on Central Avenue some of them. And it's difficult, expensive beyond belief, but it's got to come down. I have just, every time I see it, it makes me sick. So many attempts have been made that have failed. I don't have an answer for how to cut the cost. I really don't. But there are plenty of problems. Those pods were made at a neighboring town where I grew up, Wells Concrete Company in Wells, Minnesota. And it's the way the building was designed. They did what they were told to do. But this many years later, yes, there are big problems. Okay, I'm gonna kind of follow up with what Pat Warner just said. About 12 years, 13 years ago, my husband and I started the drive around Lamar's, every street, every avenue, everything, trying to decide what we would do because we had to get out of our house. I could no longer take the stairs. I am a polio survivor. We knew I had to get out of the house. There was nothing. Absolutely. And we put 150 miles on our car driving the streets in Lamar's trying to figure this out. And here we are this many years later, and nothing still has been done. We ended up building a house. Beautiful house. I love my house. I designed my house. Is that what we wanted to do at our age? Probably not. It's one of those things that's paid for, leave it alone. But for my health, we had to do it. At this point, it's handicap accessible. That's another thing if you're building over 55 that is many requirements. Just be aware, we're not looking for a Super 8. We're not looking for a Hotel 6. We are looking at an average age of probably 75 to 80 for people that are looking at it. We're not looking for those because hopefully we have all been successful enough, paid off our businesses, paid off our houses, and might, with good luck, have money in the bank. So please do not throw a cheap building project at us. I've been to ones in Sioux Center. My dad-in-law lived in one in Sioux Center. I've been to ones in Orange City. I have spent a fairly good amount of time checking out the good ones up north. And they are good. Expensive, depends on your definition. But I think you get my drift. Okay, the last thing on my list is that for 25 years, I was a volunteer on the Westmar Park Committee to maintain the Westmar Parks. There were about 10 to 12 of us. Well, we had our ups and downs, including with the city. One day, one of the volunteers, I caught her dragging 7 hoses